In this video, we'll discuss Section 4, Monetary Policy and Macroeconomic Stabilization from Chapter 16. We will learn about how does monetarism affect the stability of the economy. First, let's define what monetarism is. It's the idea that the money supply is the most important factor in the performance of the economy on a macro level. So what does that mean? So if you look at the image here on the right, you will notice two arrows and definitions next to them. So if this is the economy, and this determines the amount of cash or money flow that is available in the economy, we would say that where this arrow is, that money supply is very high. This means that the interest rates are very low. So the lower the interest rate, the more money is available out in the economy. So if the Federal Reserve sets the interest rate to a low level, this means now it's going to be less expensive to go out and buy things, to take out loans for cars and houses and boats, or whatever it might be. So let's lower the interest rate, which results in that there's more money available to the consumer to be able to purchase things. Now on the other side of this, if the money supply is low, this means interest rates are very high. This means that it takes more money to borrow, which then results in less money available. So if there's less money available because more money is going towards interest, this means the money supply is going to be low. So the whole idea here is to walk away that if money supply is high, interest rates must be low. If money supply is low, interest rates are high. And because the interest that is being accumulated from the loans, if it's low, that means now there's less interest being paid by the consumer, which means they have more opportunity to go out and buy things. On the flip side, if they have very high interest rate, that means more of their money supply is going to the interest, which means that they have less money to go out and spend. So that's the difference in monetarism. Now, we have a couple of different ideas when it comes to implementing monetarism. And this is still in connection with the previous slide where money supply is high and low. We would find something called easy money supply versus tight money, easy money policy versus tight money policy. Here's the idea behind this. If it's easy money policy, this means that monetary policy that increases the money supply. Now, why would the Federal Reserve want to lower interest rates? And this ties into what we discussed in Section 3, the different types of Federal Reserve tools that can be used in monetarism. To stimulate the economy, if the economy is slowing down, it's hitting a peak, in order to avoid us hitting a depression, recession, or going down that route, what the Federal Reserve can do is work with the monetary policy to increase the money supply. By doing that, by pouring more money, by printing more money, or whatever it might be, this will stimulate the economy. Because the economy will be stimulated because there's more cash available. More cash available results in higher paying jobs, being able to take out more loans, and it ties, like we said, with the interest rates. If money supply is high, this means interest rates are going to be low, which means there's going to stimulate the economy. Now, tight money policy is different because it is reducing the money supply. And that's where we go back here again. If the money supply is low, interest rates are high. So that means, as a result of this, we're heading towards high inflation. So if we're growing too fast, we would want to tighten up the money policy, meaning that we'll have less cash available to the economy, which then results in the amount of spending will have to be reduced because interest rates are tied to that as well. Easy, stimulate the economy. Tight, we're going to reduce inflation. And then we have money supply determines interest rate, and interest rate determines aggregate demand. I know I just showed this, but again, going back to money supply high and low, this ties into demand. If your money supply is high, meaning the people have more money because low interest rates, this means aggregate demand is going to be very high because people can spend more. On the flip side, if we have a tight money policy and we have a low money supply, this means that demand is going to go down or be lowered because it results in less money available to the consumer, which then results in things tied to the demand itself. We have something called inside versus outside lag. This is just referring to the timing for the inside. How long does it take to actually implement this monetary policy? Outside lag, time it takes for monetary policy to have an effect, like how long until we start seeing results. So inside lag is how long does it take to pass, create an idea, to get it going. Outside lag is when will we see an effect? And then when we see these results in the business cycles themselves, when we have a contraction to a trough to expansion to peak and so on and so forth, these determine the business cycles. And bad monetary policy, if it's not a good time to go with easy or tight, it could have a huge impact on the economy. And it takes so long to implement this sometimes that this is where sometimes economists said monetary policy is not necessarily needed, because the timing is always looking back at the results. And by the time you get the new policy in, it may not even work at that time. Because if we're heading recession and then the time when they start going easy, if we all of a sudden see expansion, well, now we're going to have hyperinflation that could take off. So they tie all together. This is the end of Chapter 16, Section 4.